Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Reagan. I have recently participated or started to participate in the social media blacklist supporting Palestine, and it has kind of given me a little bit of a wake-up call. I am not a big creator, right? Obviously. It has kind of reminded me that, hey, I haven't spoken out about anything on my platform either, on YouTube specifically. This is meant to be a wake-up call for celebrities. It can also act as a wake-up call for me. I have a responsibility to speak out and support in any way that I can. In the nature of this being a book channel, I'm going to give you some book recommendations and books that I want to read that either are by Palestinian authors or by authors that support Palestine during this time. If this is not something you are interested in hearing, please click off now. I am not here to argue with you about this war. I have my stance and I'm not going to change my mind at the moment. So if you're going to say anything mean in the comments, I will remove it. So please be kind. If this is not something you are interested in or want to hear, please click off now. This is not the video for you. But anyways, let's just get into the recommendations. I've compiled a list of, I think, 13 books and or authors. So some of the authors can give you multiple books. I wanted to look for authors I already had sitting on my TBR and that you might as well. So it doesn't necessarily require you to buy new books, but this is just giving you a little heads up on what authors you might already have and have books to read from that you can show your support to. Book and author number 1 is The Predator by Runix. I've always wanted to get to Runix's books, the first book in the Dark Verse series, and it's been on my TBR for a few weeks now. The next book I have here is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I've read The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang and I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm going to be getting to the rest of the series though, because it was a really hard book for me to read and I don't think I'm in a headspace for that right now, which is okay. I did want to read Yellowface by R.F. Kuang and I recently purchased this one. I love this cover. R.F. Kuang also, like I've said, has the Poppy War series if that's something you're more interested in. That's kind of more of a fantasy series and this is a literary fiction. Next I have 2 books by V.E. Schwab. I've read a lot by V.E. Schwab in the past. She has a ton of fantasy series, but the 2 books that I want to get to that I already have on my TBR, A Conjuring of Light, which is the 3rd book in the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy, and then I also have Vengeful by V.E. Schwab, which is the 2nd book in a duology. She also has a lot of YA books as well, YA fantasy mainly. Next I have a book that I've pre-ordered by one of my favorite authors. Ali Hazelwood is an author that's been supporting Palestine, and if you've never read any of her books, she writes a lot of STEM romance books. These are all the books she has that are currently out. We have Bride, Check and Mate, Love Theoretically. We have the STEMinist novellas, which are called Loathe to Love You. We have Love on the Brain and The Love Hypothesis. So good. Some of my favorite books ever. Pre-ordered her new book that's coming out in June called Not in Love. Another book I've had on my TBR is You with a View by Jessica Joyce. This author has also shown support for Palestine, and I'll be bumping this book up on my TBR. Also, the cover is gorgeous. Another author that's shown support for Palestine is B.K. Borison. I have 3 of her books right here. 1 I've read and 2 are on my TBR. I've read Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. This is a Christmas romance, so maybe not the best for this time of year, but don't worry. The other books in this series, the Love Light series, are seasonal. In the Weeds by B.K. Borison, which looks like it's set around fall time. And then the book for spring is Mixed Signals by B.K. Borison. She also has a new book that's releasing. I think it's either already released or it's coming out soon. Another book that I don't own but is written by a Palestinian author and that I'm very interested in purchasing is Something More by Jackie. I'm gonna pronounce this wrong and I apologize. I tried my best to get the pronunciation right off of Google, but I know it's not gonna go well. By Jackie Hali. That is 100% wrong and I am so sorry, but I'll put the title and the author, the cover up here so you can look at it, but it looks adorable. It's a young adult rom-com contemporary kind of vibe set at a high school. The cover is so adorable and I've seen this all over TikTok. Leigh Bardugo. I have read a few of Leigh Bardugo's books, the most popular of which is the Six of Crows duology. One of the books I would really like to read by her, but I don't own currently, is The Familiar, which is her newest release. It's set in, I think, like 18th century England, but the cover is gorgeous and I would really like to get to it sometime in the fall. A book that I've been seeing go around as well is Evil Eye by Etaf Rum, which is a Palestinian author. It's more of a literary fiction vibe, which I'm trying to get into more at the moment to try and expand my palette a little bit. It's cover is so gorgeous. Another author that I want to read some books by is Diana Quincy. She's a Palestinian author as well. She writes historical romances, which if you have been watching my channel, you know I've been trying to get into. I read the entirety of the Bridgerton series this year in preparation for the release of the show. I've been trying to get into more of the historical romance genre because it's very entertaining and kind of a break from my normal rom-com romance space. So Diana Quincy, I've heard, is a really good author for that. I have a few authors that you can pick up that are showing their support, but I currently don't have any more of their books to read from on my TBR, but I do really love their work. Katie Robert is one. I'm not going to pull out the series because it's under a bunch of things. The Dark Olympus series, which starts with Neon Gods. Neon Gods is one of my favorite Hades and Persephone retellings. She has a ton of other books if you're interested, and I think some of them do come up on Kindle Unlimited if that's something you're more interested in as well. We also have Stephanie Garber, which I can pull out. Stephanie Garber has been showing her support online. She's the author of the Caraval trilogy and the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, both young adult fantasy romance series that I love. Caraval is one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. Her writing is so gorgeous and beautiful, and you should definitely get into her work if you have not already. Tahara Mafi is another author that has been showing her support. She's the author of the Shatter Me series, which I'm not going to pull out because it's below a ton of stuff. She has written a lot of YA romances, contemporaries, dystopian, sci-fi kind of vibe. Another recommendation is Hannah Grace. She's the author of Icebreaker and Wildfire hockey romance series. There's a third one called Daydream coming out that I have pre-ordered. They are very spicy, so just beware of that, but these are good romance recommendations for the summer. Holly Black is another author. Her books are right here. You can see them. If you haven't heard of her, she has written the Cruel Prince trilogy, and she also has a spin-off series coming out. She tends to write a lot of fantasy with like fairies and goblins and that kind of whimsical vibe. If you're interested, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Emily McIntyre is also on the list of people to support. I've read her entire series, the Never After series. It's a bunch of fairy tale reimaginings in like a dark romance setting. If you're looking for something like that, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments though. Those are all the recommendations and authors I have to give you. This is not a comprehensive list, and I definitely could do more research and need to do more research on Palestinian authors and books to read by Palestinian authors. So if you have any recommendations, please throw them down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I'm always looking for more. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. This block list has really acted as a reminder for me that I am a part of the problem if I'm not speaking out too. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you in another video. I love you.